Hi everybody, my name is Matt, Cryptic if you prefer, and today we have another video. This video is a little bit different because this one was actually suggested from the community a couple of times, and I felt like it was a good time to do this, a good time to release this video. So let's talk about some of the things that I think people should do as beginner 3D artists, because a lot of the time you jump into this world of 3D art and everything like that, but you don't know where to go, you don't know what to start, you don't know what to do. And so here's just some pieces of advice that I have that I kind of wish that I had followed back when I had started way back in like 2007. And hopefully some of this information helps you out as an artist or just kind of helps you out as a student or whatever it is you're going for currently. So my first piece of advice for anyone who's just getting started as a 3D artist should be kind of like general knowledge, should be something that we all think about and know about and do. But a lot of people tend to not really do it. And that is, don't be afraid to practice. Spend your time practicing, whether that means doing very simplified models or doing simple animations. Spend your time practicing. The whole point to art and the whole point to really any kind of like skill-based hobby or career is to continue to build those skills and to continue growing. So for instance, ZBrush. I'm not very good at ZBrush, but I spend time practicing ZBrush to learn ZBrush to get better at ZBrush. I see so many people who just want to grab stuff and then put stuff together and then call it good, post it to social media, get a few likes, and that's it. But with doing that, you are not necessarily growing. So the idea of practice is so important, whether it's just something small or something a little bit larger. You can do large projects for practice. Just make sure that you sit down with the inherent goal that this project is going to teach me this, this, and this, or I'm going to learn this, this, and this from this. That's generally how I like to do things. So I will find something that I maybe necessarily am not good at, and I'll say at some point in this project, I'm going to use this to help grow my skills, and then I'm going to really just kind of ingrain that knowledge and work through that and grow through that. All right, my second piece of advice, this is one that I used to do all the time, and it's something that I see a lot of people do. Don't bite off more than you can chew. And I know as 3D artists, when we all start out, we're like, oh, cool, I can build whatever I want to. The world is my oyster. I can build anything. But the reality is that especially just starting out, you're not going to be able to do everything. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to understand from the get-go that that is going to be the case. Seasoned vets in the VFX industry don't even do everything all the time. So the reality is you don't have to be able to do it all at once in the beginning. Take small steps, take small bites. Don't spend all of your time trying to create the next, Michael Bay movie or whatever you want to do. Take time to learn your skills and, like we said in the previous tip, practice. Don't take on projects that are too large. It's going to ruin you. And I can promise you this because I've done it so many times throughout my years. The reality is that if you don't choose bite-sized projects, if you don't get started slowly and calmly and you kind of work up to things that are larger and more complex, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna fry. You're not gonna want to do this anymore. You're gonna get frustrated with yourself. And the reality is you don't want to get into that point, because once you get into that point, it's really hard to get out and want to do this again. It's really hard to want to keep going for it. So just make sure that when you're choosing to do a project, or when you've decided that you want to model something, or whatever is your kind of focus in 3D in general, make sure whatever it is a bite-sized portion that you can actually take on and finish, in a short amount of time. This next piece of advice kind of falls a little bit more in the line of people who are actually going to school, who have just started a school program, but I felt like it was equally important to include this in this video. And that reality is don't expect your school or institution to teach you everything you need. And I know that kind of sucks to hear because, you pay a lot of money for these schools. Why would they not teach you everything? A, they don't have the time. And B, most of them aren't actually set up to teach you everything. They're set up to teach you just enough to get you out the door and say, okay, cool, you're proficient. The reality is that you need to spend time outside of your school learning through sometimes external sources, but learning and growing outside of the standard curriculum. The reality is that your professors, your school, whatever it is, they do not have the capacity to teach you everything. If you're going to a really purpose-built school, maybe. But if you're going to like a general college or a kind of like a private college, whatever, the reality is you're probably not going to get the full education that you need. So for me, when I talk to students, my thing is always make sure you're spending time outside of school and outside of your standard curriculum. I understand you have homework and stuff like that, but find projects that you can do outside of school that are going to be more beneficial to you as an artist to help you grow your skills that you aren't necessarily going to learn. It's kind of hard to predict what you are and you're not going to learn, but what you can do is pick things that are a little bit higher, like difficulty wise, than your current curriculum. Use what you're learning in school and then see if you can find things in there that you don't understand yet, and then go from there. This next one is also super important because it's something that a lot of us forget to do, and that is to take breaks. And I'm not talking stand up, walk around, do your thing. Take significant breaks. Spend 3 days doing art, take a day or two off. These breaks are super important for helping you out as an artist and helping you recover from the amount of time that you're spending staring at a screen, which is already kind of unhealthy, but it's also good for your hands and good for everything else. Plus, it's good to get yourself away from this so you can come back to it with fresh ideas. I know a lot of us think that we just need to sit here and grind and grind and grind, but the reality is like that's not how growing works. So maybe while you're not spending time doing art, go out, go to the gym, go to a park, do something outside, something that gets you out of the house and out of where you are. I think these are super important things to do as an artist, just in general, because they're going to help keep your mind fresh and they're going to help you from overthinking your work and overthinking what you're doing. Taking breaks is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. And it's really important because you help yourself avoid or postpone burnout. And that is something that we all strive for because burnout sucks. And when you hit a period of burnout or artistic, burnout, you're stuck and you can't brute force your way out of it. You can't really do anything to get out of it. You just kind of have to deal with it and try to recover. So that time that you're wasting recovering and trying to get that spark back, you could potentially avoid that or make it much less impactful by just making sure you're taking the breaks that you need and spending the time that you need to recover. Tip number 5. This one's a good one because a lot of people don't think necessarily about doing it. A lot of us will try to brute force our way into art and just continue to force things to work. When the reality is like sometimes you need to accept some help from outside sources. So what does that mean? Well, in today's day and age, you could join a Discord, jump in with some people, talk with people. This is a good time to plug my Discord. You're always welcome in my Discord. There is tons of resources to help you grow as a 3D artist there, as well as people who are interested in actually helping you fix your problems with 3D art or help you learn and help you grow. But the reality is there are so many Discords out there that you can join and learn and be a part of. Those are great tools. But what about other sources? What other things can you look at? Well, as artists, we tend to look to other artists for inspiration. It's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to be in practice of. So one of the things that I've done throughout the past, I've gone to the bookstore and I've bought some art books, or I've bought theory books on artistic concepts. Books are a great way to learn and a great way to kind of continue growing as an artist. You just need to make sure you read them, which I am also equally bad at. So spend some time learning from stuff like that. It's really good to help you. But what about if you want to take it a step further? Well, if you want to take it a step further, the other options that are available to you are mentorships. If it's something that you can afford or you can work out some sort of deal with another artist, a mentorship is one of the best ways to grow as an artist and to start to actually kind of grow your skills as well. It's also a good way to get constructive feedback back and forth on, say, your concepts, your projects, the things you're working on, as well as issues you may be creating for yourself. Maybe you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, that artist can help correct. These are awesome ways to help grow as a younger artist while still allowing yourself to follow your own path of creativity, but with some guidance. This next tip is kind of an important one because it's something that, because of our day and age, I think everyone wants to do it, and that is social media. Social media as a young artist can be either a very good thing or a very damaging thing. So it's something that I always tell people that they need to be kind of understanding of where they are mentally as an artist, and to make sure that they are comfortable with the fact that they're, by opening themselves out to the internet and posting their stuff to social media, that you're both going to get awesome supportive like comments and interaction, but you are also going to get negative and, you know, just mean comments in general. These are things that are really important as younger artists to establish, that if I'm going to post on social media, I need to make sure I can handle what I'm going to get. So if that's something that you're not sure that you can handle, if you don't want the negative criticism, if you don't want the kind of negative connotation that kind of comes with social media, I do recommend that you just kind of avoid it for a while until you're more confident in your skills. But if you are open with sharing what you're doing and sharing your process, it can also be a really fun way of meeting people and connecting with others and building friendships off of this amazing hobby. I've met a ton of people through social media, and it's really cool that that's something that comes of it. You just need to make sure you're in the right headspace for it, because social media can be a very damaging thing and it can be a very stressful thing. So just make sure you get into it with the right reasons, right? Just to share. Don't expect as a beginner artist to just jump into social media and start raking in cash, because that's just not how it happens. It's not how it works. And if you get into it for that sole purpose, you are going to kind of regret it. Just kind of being blatantly honest, you're gonna regret that. So get into it with the right headset, or don't get into it at all. It's not a requirement. You don't have to be that to be an artist. You can share the stuff with your family. You can share it to your private social media, whatever you want to do. Just make sure whatever decision you make is going to be right for you. Tip number 6, I think, 7, whatever. Collaboration. Collaboration is something that a lot of artists don't do that you should. The reason being is because you're able to fill in gaps where you may not have skills, or where your skills maybe aren't there yet, with somebody who does have those skills. And you can work together to create really cool things while also learning at the same time. Collaboration is an awesome way to grow experience, grow your network of people that you know, and create amazing stuff. It's something that a lot of people avoid, and sometimes it's because as artists, you know, we want to be able to stand on our own and say like, I made this. But the reality is collaborations can create some amazing things. And so it's really important to look for those things. So when you're looking for collaborations, what do you look for? Look for people who have either similar skills or maybe skills you don't have that you want to use and you want to grow with, and kind of work with that. Sometimes collaborations are paid, sometimes they're free. It just kind of depends on what you work out with the other artist, but they're always really good ways to grow as an artist, and it's something that a lot of people don't do. So as a young artist, you should be open to looking for that and trying to find that, because not only is it going to help you, it's also going to help you grow as an artist and learn more things, because then you can ask that artist like, hey, you did this, how do I do that? There are way more positives to collaboration than there are negatives. Of course, every once in a while, you'll kind of get like a crappy collaboration. That's going to happen. But the reality is don't let that keep you from trying to do new things and grow with other people, because that is one of the best ways to help grow your skill set. But it also kind of prepares you for working with teams. Working in a team is so important in this industry, so it's really important that you know how to work with other teammates and you know how to collaborate and communicate and grow together as a team. Those are important skills that aren't talked about very often that you need to know on top of already having your portfolio and all that stuff. So collaboration is going to be key here. And my final tip, which is something that I think a lot of people need to hear, do not lock yourself down to one specific piece of software. When it comes to being a 3D artist, there are applications for everything. There are applications for texturing and rendering and animation and all that stuff. Don't lock yourself into one. So if you're choosing Blender, make sure you're going outside of Blender to learn other tools. If you're using Maya, the same thing. Don't lock yourself into one set of tools. My personal pipeline right now consists of Autodesk Maya, Marmoset Toolbag, Unreal Engine, Substance Painter, Rhizome UV. I have a myriad of applications that I use because I need to make sure that I am well versed in all sorts of different apps. Yes, you can do almost everything in most apps now, at least when it comes to software like Blender and Maya and Houdini. But the reality is you need to make sure that you are open to learning other applications and growing skills in those other applications, because in this industry, not every company uses every single piece of software. But as long as you have a myriad list of software applications that you can say, yeah, I can use these. These are tools that I'm comfortable with. That is going to be much more helpful to you as a young artist kind of getting into all this than somebody who said, I learned Blender. It's much more marketable to an employer when you can say, I know XYZ applications and I can do XYZ in these applications. That helps you out far more than anything else. So that's a really important note to make. Don't be afraid to learn other apps. You do not have to be loyal to one application. There's no reason to do that, especially because not every single one of these applications is great at everything. Some are good at some things and some are good at other things. Like, not one application is just the best for everything. So be open to learning more applications. Be open to using more tools. You don't have to stay in one environment, because the reality is, if we stay in one zone, we stay in one environment, we don't grow. So be willing and be open to growing outside of Blender, Maya, Houdini, whatever. And that should bring you a lot more success as an artist, as well as a potential career in the future. All right, so that's kind of it. Those are my 8 tips for beginner artists. Those are things that I've kind of compiled over the years that I think would be kind of helpful to you as a young artist. And I think that if you follow those 8 tips, those will help you more than anything growing as an artist and getting better in this path, this career, whatever your kind of options are, your choice to do this. While none of these are like concrete laws, they're just kind of a basis that you should look at and say, am I doing this? Am I growing in this specific way? Those are really good ways just to kind of check back and ground yourself and be like, okay, cool. So I should be doing this instead. Maybe I need to do more collaborations, or maybe I'm too locked into using Maya or Blender. Those are all different tips to kind of help guide you through this whole career path, or this whole kind of learning path as a beginner 3D artist. And as always, kind of my final tip with this is, don't get too serious about it. Have fun with it. Be able to enjoy this. Don't make it your life's mission to be that 3D artist without being able to enjoy this. So if you want to be a 3D artist and you want to do all this stuff, make sure you have fun with it, because it's fun. It's amazing. It's technical. It's artistic. It's creative. It's all of these things. So just have fun with it. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe. If you'd like to go further than that, you can support me on Patreon. We're going to be growing that a lot more in 2025. But already there's some free downloads on there, so you can take advantage of those by subscribing to one of the paid tiers. And with all that out of the way, I will see you all in the next video.